All right, so I recently recorded a podcast episode where I was talking about like if you don't put in enough effort then you don't get in as many results or something to that effect. And I was talking about my stretching. So one thing I'm really working on right now with my personal fitness is my flexibility and especially my hamstring flexibility. You see me here doing the standing hamstring stretch, which I'm just about touching my toes. Usually by the time, midway through when I'm done, I'm touching my toes and trying to extend that more and more, but it is painful. It's painful. Tight, and I'm not talking about the bad kind of pain, but you know what I mean. That tension is something serious. And I have to work down to my toes for a bit. And but I've been notorious for stretching and then I'll be kind of starting to be able to touch my toes pretty comfortably, but then I stop being consistent. But that can't be my testimony anymore. You hear me grunting in the video. But anyhow, sorry, my phone. But anyhow, and even here, if you can see closely, what I'm doing is after I did that initial stretch, I'm kind of every now and then I kind of bend my knees, and then I go back into the stretch. And what that does, that's a technique that you kind of pull the stretch off for a moment, and then when you go right back into the stretch, it helps you to go further. There's some sort of science behind it. With the way that the muscles work whenever you pull the tension off immediately. There's another technique you can do where you flex the opposing muscle group, the muscle group that is opposite of the muscle group you're stretching. And like for example, if I'm stretching my hamstrings, I would flex my quads and then let off of that, and then you'll feel yourself kind of go deeper into the stretch. Another technique you can use is taking a deep breath and on your exhale go a little bit further into your stretch. So I do all those whenever I stretch, apparent especially my hamstrings. You see me doing the bent knee kind of technique here. So I'm gonna stand back up into it and then go down. See, I go a little bit further. It's incremental, but you kind of keep on doing that every 10 seconds. It works. But my goodness, it's painful. Stretching is also not necessarily like, it's not glamorous. It's not like lifting weights where feeling all macho and all that kind of stuff and pushing weight, or for me, like doing all these kind of reps and calisthenics and whatnot. But it's very necessary for helping us to like get older and stay limber, stay able to do moves, stay free from injury and stuff like that. And so yeah. So you see me holding my ankles here. What I'm doing is after I've tried to touch my toes for a bit, then I actually kind of hold on to my ankles and literally pull myself toward my feet. And that actually is another way not only to stretch my hamstrings, but I also get that trunk flexibility. Trunk is just like your kind of like your midsection. Um, so here I'm going to the sit and reach test, which is just I'm almost embarrassed to record it, but I figure I just have to kind of be transparent, man. I'm working toward it. Before I did my sit and reach, I'm stretching my left uh quadratus lumborum. It's a muscle like on the kind of between your hip, like your pelvic bone and your rib cage. And on my left side, I'm a little tighter. And so it causes me to like put more stress on that left leg than I need to. And sometimes I have like knee pain and stuff like that, especially when I do a lot of jumping moves. So I'm really working on stretching that so I can get that leg to kind of be back at the same level as my right leg and not put so much stress on it. Um, but anyhow, the reason why I mentioned the podcast that I recently recorded is because um before I recorded that podcast, I was really coming to the realization that I don't need to be scared to hold a stretch longer than 15 seconds or even 30 seconds. For me, I need to do at least a minute a pop. Otherwise, my flexibility is not going to really improve to any significant degree. And so that's what I want to encourage you to do. First of all, stretch, man. Stretch, not just your hamstrings. I know my hamstrings are like my main point that needs more flexibility. but stretch. And then also make sure that you're actually stretching enough. You see me grabbing my ankles here. So I'm kind of pulling myself closer to my feet to compensate for how I'm barely able to touch my feet now. I'm kind of pulling and getting that trunk flexibility and hamstring. But make sure you hold the stretch long enough to get results. I anticipate in the future I'm going to post again to show my stretching progress. Um, but it's about showing up every day, being consistent, doing the things that you need to do instead of just like thinking about them or having a concept in your head. So we can get healthier, man. That's really what it's all about.
Lord, Lord.